Hey guys, so if you're trying to transfer to your dream school and say you're already a freshman or a sophomore in college, I really commend you. I think it's noble to not give up on your dreams and to continue to apply. Now, let's say if you just started your freshman year at a school, maybe it's not your top choice, and you're wondering maybe should I apply this year or should I wait till I have more proof that I've improved my grades, saying you didn't do too well in high school. I think you should apply this year. No college is going to see you next year. Say if you apply to transfer this year and you don't get in, no college is going to see your application next year and look at the fact that you applied the previous year and hold that against you. If anything, it shows positive character traits that despite not getting in the first time, you're trying again, you're not giving up. So transfer now at the very least. If you don't get in your freshman year trying to transfer somewhere else, you're going to be very familiar with the application. Your essays will already be completed. Maybe you have to tweak them a little bit when you apply again, but a lot of the work, a lot of the process will be even more familiar to you. So if you're a freshman in college and you potentially want to spend next year at another institution, don't hesitate to apply. Continue getting great grades, but start focusing on the application process as soon as you can. Like I said before, you can always apply to transfer the following year. Today I want to talk about the essay on the Common App, the personal statement for transfer students. So I get the question a lot, is applying as a transfer student different from applying as a regular high school senior? And like many things in life and the college admissions process, the answer is yes and no. And in one area, the question that you're asked on the personal statement, if you're a transfer student, it's a different question. It's a bad question, to be totally honest. And we're going to get into that in a couple seconds. But you want to answer it the same way you would answer the high school senior regular freshman applicant personal statement question. And what's that? You want to tell a great story. You want to appear very likable. You want to show all these positive traits about you, about your personality, things that are going to be verified by your letters of rec. You want to really appear like a great person, but not overdo it to the extent that you look like someone who's obnoxious or overly confident. You want to tell interesting, readable, vivid stories that emotionally engage the reader. If you're reading hundreds of essays every day as a college admissions officer, it's nice to read a real story, an interesting story about somebody. So be that application in the pile. So why don't a lot of students just answer the essay the same way when they're transfer students? You might be wondering that if you haven't actually looked at the question on the Common App and you're a transfer student. So a lot of schools, most of the schools are on the Common App. So if you're interested in Columbia, Dartmouth, Chicago, I really don't need to go on. Yale, University of Rochester, Penn. I work with students who are applying to all these schools, and they all are faced with the same question, and they panic because this question is very hard to answer. And just in case you don't know, if you're not looking at it, it is, please provide a statement that addresses your reasons for transferring and the objectives you hope to achieve. Reasons for transferring and the objectives you hope to achieve. This would be easier if it were school specific, and the supplement for these essays allows you to be school specific. I want to transfer to Columbia because of looking at other videos of mine on how to answer a supplement essay correctly, but I want to go to Columbia for all these reasons. You actually have a school to discuss, a lot of research you can do. You can visit the school. Again, look at other videos on answering the supplement. But for this essay, since it's not school specific, it makes it a little tough to discuss everything you want to achieve, right? Again, you could be broad about it, but then you're projecting out 5 years, discussing your future plans, where you see yourself. That's not bad, but it's tough to write a whole essay about where you see yourself in 5 years. It's tough to write an exciting essay. So since it's not school specific, it's tough to answer the part of the question asking what you hope to achieve. So what are you left? You're left with the first part of the question here, reasons for transferring. And again, like I said, this isn't school specific. Not school specific. So reasons for transferring. Transferring, as we know, this is going to get really basic. You're going from one school to another school. So reasons for transferring could be a push away from the school where you are now as a freshman or a sophomore. Reasons could push you away, and reasons could pull you. And since this essay is used for all schools that you're applying to, I guess you're just stuck with reasons that are pushing you from your current school. Basically, all the reasons you don't like your current school. That's what the essay question leaves you to answer. And how horrible an essay is that? Well, I hate this school because of the dining hall. I hate this school because people are dumb. I hate this school because the graduates don't get jobs after they graduate. All these things could be true. You could have a valid argument, but the case still remains. It's a negative, unreadable, boring essay that portrays you in a negative light. So what do you do? I didn't really paint a good picture of how to answer this question. Well, I would skirt the subject completely and go back to writing skills that apply to the freshman applicant, the high school senior applying to that essay, the regular, normal freshman admission applicant essay. And you can see those in other videos of mine, but you want to tell an interesting story, you want to make yourself look likable, create a readable essay, like I said before. All those things are going to apply. And then maybe in the last couple sentences, connect it broadly into transferring just so you answer the question. So let's say you showed in your personal statement in your story how you learned the importance of volunteering, whereas before, maybe your senior year of high school, before you were a college freshman, you admit you were a little narcissistic and maybe you just volunteered to put it on your resume. And then when you were actually a college freshman, you learned a lot and you learn the importance of volunteering. So you never want to come out and say what I just said. I'm summarizing what you should write in your essay. You're telling an interesting story. The reader is not dumb. If you tell a good story, it's going to be pretty clear what the moral is. Now, if you come out and say, I learned that volunteering's great, horrible essay, because you're telling a bad story, don't do that. But let's say through telling a nice story, you showed this type of growth, this increased awareness of humanity and the importance of giving back and volunteering. Maybe in your conclusion, you could mention that you want to continue to volunteer when you transfer next year and you really look forward to spreading joy in the community of the school at which you're attending when you're a sophomore, when you're a junior. So you kind of take this nice, interesting story, and then at the end, simply to satisfy this pretty poorly worded, horrible question that you're given and you have to answer, you're tying it in at the end. But until then, if you're wondering what you should write for this essay, whatever you do, especially when you have a bad question, don't copy and paste this into the top of the working doc, your Word doc where you're brainstorming, because you're just going to keep reading this over and over again. Provide a statement that addresses your reasons for transferring and the objectives you hope to achieve. Objectives hope to achieve can't really answer that because this isn't school specific, so reasons for transferring, reasons for transferring, reasons for transferring. I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like this. I feel like I'm not part of my community, I'm not part of my hall freshman year, I don't really have any friends here. I have trouble connecting with the professors. That's what you're going to write about. And what school, a lot of students want to transfer. What school is going to want that type of student who seems really negative? That's what they're asking, but you're going to provide a different, better, nuanced answer that really shows how awesome you are. And in order to do that, you can't simply focus on what's being asked here. Instead, you have to go back to who you are, think about your opinions, think about stories that show who you are. Don't be afraid to open up a little bit, and look at my other videos. You'll just see all the tips to writing a great college essay. And even though this question is a little different from the question that's asked of high school seniors when they're applying as regular freshman applicants, even though this question is different, you still want to answer it in a really great story that shows who you are. So I really hope this helped. This is a totally valid question. A lot of you guys have been sending me on this question. It's tough when the process isn't fair in a lot of ways, and I think this is unfortunately an example of it. And like I said, I'm trying to help here. If there's any part of this video that wasn't clear, please let me know. Shoot me an email. If you enjoyed the video, I'd love to see your comments. They keep me going. And again, just keep writing, guys. Right now it's the fall, October. A lot of transfer applications aren't due for 3-4 months, but get started now so you can do as many drafts as possible. With writing in general, the first draft always seems like the best, and you can take a couple days off, look back on it a week later, and you can see, oh man, I really thought this was great after I wrote it, but I'm happy I'm able to do a second draft. And usually that same logic applies to a third draft, fourth draft, a fifth draft, and you just want to do as many drafts as possible to come up with the best piece of writing. But for your first draft, I'm very happy I was able to specify this question on the Common App so that you can have a solid foundation for future drafts of your personal statement as a transfer applicant.